Black Power, Black Science TV 111. This is Osei Kufuor. I'm back at y'all again. I'm coming to y'all this morning with some information based on DNA pertaining to the melanated species diagram. Did you all know that we have something that's called indigenous cells that's comprised within our brain? And this is why we have the heaviest brain structure, which is 7.5 ounces of brain power, or 7.5 ounces of brain melanin. When you look at white people's diagrammal brain structure, it's only 6 ounces. This is because they lack indigenous cells. Indigenous cells is the oldest cells that you will find in the universe. Indigenous cells is not only in the brain of melanated people, but it's also inside of the universe. The universe comprised of these same DNA structures, or seeing DNA diagrammal cells. So the thing is, these cells communicate differently than any other common type of cells. For an example, white people only have red blood cells and white blood cells. And these red blood cells and white blood cells only sustain them as far as being able to exist in a way where they communicate with things on a lower realm, such as hybridized foods and things like that. This is why they have to create foods that will actually fit their structure. Again, you have to look at the white mouse and know that in their laboratories they use biological substances to be able to identify themselves with as far as their bodily DNA. Now, when it comes to black people, we have many different types of cells. Melanocytes, which is cells. You have keratinocytes, which is cells. Then you have the red blood cells and the white blood cells. And even our red blood cells and white blood cells is more thicker than white people's, because the nucleus within our cells have two types of transmitters and communicators. White people only have one. And this actually helps them to be able to function on the emotional level. So when you look at the indigenous cells is the same cells that you will find within the moon cycles. So when you study the moon and the cells of the moon, this is what gives the moon access to gravitational or magnetism when it comes to being able to detox the earth or detox anything with its same or identical DNA structure. So this is what indigenous cells is, the oldest cells that's comprised of the universe, which black people or so-called black people have in their DNA. This is why white people have to pump their cells full of melanin to a certain extent, because in order for them to be able to even to exist neurologically or to think neurologically, they have to learn and function and dissect in many ways. This is why in their educational systems, they have to dissect a lot of things, because they can't look at something and just say, okay, well, this is what's going on. It takes them at least 30 to 40 years in order to create something or to be able to break something down to its lowest common denominator. They don't understand what mathematics is, because people look at math, science, biology, and other subjects as being just a physical subject. But every subject is spiritual. Math is spiritual. You understand what I'm saying? Biology is spiritual. You can't look at things from a third dimensional lens. So now you have to look at the equator as well. And you have to see how the equator interacts with these indigenous biological cells that we have within our brain, or these neurons that's comprised within our brain structure. Because as black people, we have 12 systems of the brain. Again, those 12 systems connect to the 12 zodiacal signs, which is the 12 disciples, what they say in the Bible. And then you have the third eye, which actually helps the 12 systems in the brain to activate. So when the third eye is shut down, which produces the melanin or the melanocytes, you have to understand or understand that your neurological system is shut down. So you can't get to anything outside of yourself within the fifth dimensional realm. Okay, so I just want to give y'all a quick briefing of indigenous cells. You can look it up. It's called indigenous cells, and this is what gives us authority and superiority over any other so-called race. I love y'all. Black Science TV 111, Osei Kufuor, Black Power. Have a good day. Peace.